Yeah, last week we did a brief analysis of price ceiling, price of floor, and excess tax, right? Guess did we finish excess tax? Can someone tell me, did we finish up to note number 6? Yes or no? I don't think so. So where we ended last week? I think page number 5. Okay, page number 5. Okay. So we finished the first graph, right? We finished the first graph on page number 6. So let's quickly recap those major conclusions we got from page number 4. So you guys go to page number 4. Okay, just briefly review the first graph we did here. But the final conclusion we got from here is totally they paid $60 to government, right? Totally they paid $60 to government. Okay, so the total tax revenue equals to $60, right? Do I need to draw the graph again for you guys? Okay, let's quickly draw a graph. So supply and the demand model. Okay, first step, supply and demand model. And the before we add excess tax, okay, the per unit price is a 5, and the intersection here is a 1, and here is this intersection is $9, and this one is $1, and the supply here, demand here. So how many units can be traded before we add the tax? 30. And the size of the per unit tax is $4 per unit. Okay, so we shift supply curve to left, right? You guys shift the supply curve to left, and you label the second supply curve by supply plus a tax. Okay, you label the second supply curve by supply plus a tax. Okay, and you need to keep in mind, you need to maintain the vertical difference between two supply curve equals to tax. So the vertical distance between these two supply curve always equal to $4, right? Because here is this intersection is a 5, and this intersection is a 1. So 5 minus 1, so equals to $4. So equal to the size of the tax. Okay, size of a tax also once again can determine how much you need to shift your supply curve to left. Okay, once the government added on tax into this industry as a producer, if naturally you want to reduce the quantity you produce, right? So you shift your supply curve to left. Okay, but the next question is how much you need to shift your supply curve to left. The answer is as long as you can maintain the vertical distance between two supply curve equals to the size of a tax given by the question. Okay, so how big is the size of tax view given by the question? So you guys as a students, you don't need to worry about how to calculate how much tax I need to add it on into this industry as a government. You don't need to do that because the size of tax view given by the question. Okay, and the next question, so you label this one by E number 1, the first equilibrium, and this one by E number 2, the second equilibrium. Okay, so you find the corresponding price level here and the quantity here. Okay, so we label this one by 7. Okay, and this one by 3. So 7 is called the consumer behavior, and the 3 is called the producer behavior, right? After we add a tax, remember as a consumer, if they still want to buy product, they need to pay 7. So 7 here is called consumer behavior, consumer price. Oh, consumer price is a 7. But next step, because the government now will take away $4. Is that right? Because the government now is collecting tax revenue, business revenue, as a business tax from this industry. How big is the size of the tax? $4 per unit. That means as a consumer, by producing, by selling every and each unit of the product, you can get $7 from a consumer. But can you keep all $7? Can you keep all $7? No, you cannot keep all $7. Super easy. Why? Because the government will take away $4. So after so $4 has taken by government. So how many? So how many dollars? How much money you can keep? So 7 minus 4, so equals to 3, right? So you only can keep $3. So this is called the producer price. Okay, just means you only can keep like $4. So this is called the producer price equals to 3. And after the implementation of a taxation policy, right? The quantity can be traded in market. The quantity can be traded in market for sure will decrease. For sure will decrease. Last week we did, assuming the quantity reduces from 30 to 15. Okay, 30 to 15. And finally, so where is the total tax revenue received by government? Where is the total tax revenue received by government? Total tax revenue. Total tax revenue, okay? So $4 per unit, okay, is called the size of the tax. But what is the total tax revenue? The total amount of money taken by government is, so which area can represent the total tax revenue? So you see, per unit taxes here is from 3 to 7, right? So per unit taxes, oh, per unit taxes is here, $4. How many units we can trade in market? Now is 15 units. Okay, so per unit tax times how many units can be traded in market. So this area. So this area can represent total tax revenue. So this area, okay, can represent the total tax revenue taken by government. And how big is this square area? $60, okay? So totally consumers and the producers together, we pay $60 to government. Okay, it's called total tax revenue. And the last week we also added some labels for these areas, right? So A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, so total tax revenue equals to BCE. And the next step, among BCE, within this square area, last week we mentioned B and C. So B and C together. Okay, the upper half part of this square, B and C, is called tax paid by consumer. So what do I mean by tax paid by consumer? Why B and C is called a tax paid by consumer? Tax paid by okay, tax paid by consumer. Why B and C is called a tax paid consumer? Because before the tax, before the policy, B and C together was a part of the happiness that can be received by consumer. Am I right? Okay. When you standing at equilibrium one, okay, when you still at equilibrium one, where is the consumer surplus? A, B, C, D. So B and C was before the policy was a part of a happiness received by consumer. But now B and C taken by government after the policy, you see, consumers they transfer B and C together to government. So B and C is called the tax burden bared by consumer. Okay, so likewise, what is the E called again? So what is the E called again? So E is called the tax paid by tax paid by producer. Right, this time, right, E is called tax paid by producer. Because once again, same reason. Okay, before the tax, before the policy, part E, area E was a happiness that can be received by producer. Because when you standing at equilibrium one, where is the producer behavior E, F, G, H. No, E, F, G. We don't have H. Any questions? Okay, no questions. Okay, next step. Let's calculate how big is this area. I mean, we already calculate how big is BCE together, right? BCE together is $60. Then how big is BNC? Can somebody tell me how big is BNC alone? If we don't include E, how big is BNC? How big is BNC? The total for BCE is $60. 60. Yes, 30. Yes, 30. Because 2 times 15, right? 2 times 15 is 30. So remember this, okay? Tax beared by consumer is 30. So how big is E? Then how big is E? Also $30, right? Also $30. So consumers they paid 30, producers they paid 30. So totally, right? Totally they paid $60. $60 to government. So the one final conclusion we got from this graph is the sheer tax burden equally. The sheer tax burden equally. Okay, consumers paid half a part, exactly 50% of a total $60, so $30. Same thing for producer. Okay, producer paid $30, 50%, half part of the total tax burden to government. You see, they exactly share the tax burden equally. Once again, I just repeat again, they share tax burden exactly equally. Okay, you pay 50%, I pay 50%. You pay $30, I pay $30. Okay, totally we paid $60 to government. So my last question, my question is why? why in this graph, they kind of why they share tax burden exactly equally? Well, what is the reason? Like why in this graph the area of B and C different sales? What do you mean by different sales? Like you mean quantity has been reduced? Why the area of B and C and the area E, they are equal to each other? Different sales. I don't know. So does anyone want to take a guess? Just take a guess. Why this graph is a graphically speaking? Okay, even graphically speaking, why this graph is so special? Like why is the B and C, the area of B and C exactly equal to E? So I just tell you guys the answer. Okay, so the answer actually is the slope of a supply curve and the slope of a demand curve in this graph is roughly equal to each other. I mean, in terms of absolute value. In terms of absolute value, okay, the absolute value of a supply curve and the absolute value of a demand curve, slope of a demand curve is equal to each other. So using economic language, I mean, ES equal to ED. Because from notes number 3, we learned this. The slope of either a demand curve and a supply curve actually represent the elasticity. Actually representing how either consumers or producers, how they sensitive about price change. Okay, so if in this graph, if ES equal to ED, I mean now they are equally care about price change. I mean, if you compare consumers and the producers. Okay, they are equally sensitive. They are equally sensitive about price change. So the slope of a supply curve and the slope of a demand curve, once again, I know in your math class, the slope of a supply curve is a positive number. Okay, if a function is a decreasing function, so the slope of the demand curve should be a negative number. But I mean, I'm talking about the absolute value. Okay, the absolute value of the slopes of the supply curve and demand curve equal to each other. So in the field of economics, that means ES equal to ED. Okay, consumers and producers, they are equally sensitive about price change. So let's prove what I said is right. Let's turn to next page. So same graph. Okay, what about if you make your demand curve more elastic? Okay, same kind of a graph, same method. We just draw a new graph, but this time you just need to make your demand curve more elastic. And then let's compare who pay more tax, who pay lesser tax. Okay, let's do it. Okay, let's draw a new graph. But this time, same kind of a graph, but this time I just once again make my demand curve relatively speaking. Make my demand curve relatively speaking like a very flat. Okay, it's a flatter curve compared with your steeper curve. You just make your supply curve really steeper, but demand curve really flatter. Okay, so the title so this one actually means ED greater than ES. So that means the consumers, they are more care about price change. Okay, consumers, they are kind of more sensitive about price change. Okay, so you find the E number one here, right? E number one here. So corresponding price. Okay, so it's here is the quantity. And how I add the text again? I just shift my supply curve to left. I just shift my supply curve to left. Okay, representing government. Now they are adding taxes per unit tax to government. No, in for on this industry. Okay, so this is a consumer prices again. And there is the, because we learned the quantity will reduce if we add a tax. Okay, and here is the producer price. Okay, here's the producer price. You see this time, you can easily compare, you can easily see this time tax paid by consumer is the red shaded area. And the tax paid by producer is a blue shaded area. Which one is bigger? Maybe let's add some labels. The red shaded area, once again, is called tax paid. By consumer. Okay, this one is a tax paid by producer. So guess which one is bigger? The red area is bigger or blue area is bigger? The blue area is bigger, yeah, for sure. Okay, so we can get a conclusion is who care more about tax change? Who pays smaller tax burden? By contrast, if you don't care about price change, okay, you don't care about the taxes added by government, you don't care about that, you don't sensitive about that, you will pay bigger proportion of the total tax burden. And in this graph, ED greater than ES. Okay, so demand curve is a flatter curve, and the supply curve, relatively speaking, right, is steeper than your demand curve. Okay, so finally we got the tax burden paid by consumer because they care about price change, right? Based on your intuition, right? Based on your real life intuition, think about that. You are a smoker. Okay, every day, every month, every year, you buy a lot. You buy cigarettes. You smoke, but you as a smoker, you care about the price change. Yes, you are a smoker, but you don't want to pay more money for purchasing cigarettes. So you care about price change. So one day you heard about this news, so BC government is adding. So don't smoke, yes. So one day you heard about this news, okay, BC government increases the tax rates for cigarette products, and you care about that, okay, what's your response? So you reduce the quantity of cigarettes you purchase, right? So you just don't smoke. You reduce the quantity you purchase. You see, you reduce the cost. You reduce the quantity you purchase, so you pay less money as a tax. But by contrast, producers they don't care about this tariff. No. They don't care about this tax. In this case, the money collected by government is called a tax. They don't care about tax. If you don't care about this, right? You want to change your behavior that much. Okay, you reduce the quantity you produce, but not by that much. You just reduce the quantity you produce just a little bit. If you don't change your behavior, you pay larger proportion for the tax. Okay, so if no questions here, so let's turn to next page. Okay, this time still is the same graph. This time we just make your supply curve. Oh, I guess there is a typo here. Okay, this one we want to draw a supply curve. You just make your supply curve relatively elastic. Okay, so that means make your supply curve more flatter this time. And the demand curve, relatively speaking, steeper. The supply curve very flat. Okay, demand curve, relatively speaking, very steeper, like this. Okay, you label this one. Label this one by supply. This one's a D. Okay, the first city equilibrium. And the quantity before the tax. And the next step, we shift the supply curve to left. And parallelly shift to the left. We label this one by supply plus the tax. I'm going to the bathroom. Okay. So this one is called equilibrium number 1. This one is called equilibrium number 2. Okay, we add on our consumer prices here. And the quantity line, once again, 100% will decrease. Okay, because the government is imposing higher tax rate for this industry. And don't forget your producer price here. Okay, this is called consumer price, producer price. Okay, so this time right shaded area, and you got another area. Okay, the green area is called tax paid by consumer. No. The right one is a tax paid by consumer, and the green one is a tax paid by producer. Okay, so this time which one is bigger? Whose tax burden is bigger this time? So this one tax paid by consumers are bigger, right? Consumer tax burden is bigger than producers. Why? Because consumers are now the case is consumers they don't care about price change. Yeah, this time the real life story is you are a smoker, you buy cigarettes, and one day you heard about BC government will add a higher tax rate on cigarette products. But do you care about that? No, you kind of don't care about that. Okay, you still buy as much as you purchased before after the tax. Okay, you reduce the quantity of cigarettes purchased just a little bit because you don't care about paying much more money for cigarettes. So in that case, you pay larger proportion for tax. But producers, they care about price change. After the tax, they reduce because they care about that. You sensitive of that. They reduce the quantity they produce by a lot. So in that case, you see the green area is a tax paid by producer is way more smaller than the red area. Okay, so they pay smaller proportion of the tax. Any questions so far? No questions? Okay, no questions. Let's step. Let's generalize. Okay, generalize our the conclusion a little bit. Okay, we did the number two and the number one and number two here, right? We did a total two graphs. So we proved that. So we already proved that when ED greater than ES, so producers pay more and the consumer pay less. This is the first graph. We just did our second graph here, second graph here, second graph here. So here we did if ES greater than ED, so your supply curve is a flatter curve. So our conclusion we got here from this graph is the producers pay less and the consumer pay more. As you guys can see here, the green area, the red area is bigger than the red area. No, bigger than the green area. The upper half part tax is bigger than the lower half part. Okay, so producers pay less and the consumer pay more. We only did two graphs, but we can carry over what we learned from these two stories for following cases. Okay, we generalize our conclusion a little bit. What about here for demand curve is perfectly elastic? Okay, just think about that, right? You care, but if you care about price, you pay more tax. If you don't care about price, you pay less tax. What about if you totally don't care about price change? You don't care about price change at all. It's a very extreme and rare cases in real life, right? You don't care. You really need a smoke every day. You really like something. So you don't care about the price change at all. You totally tolerate government will add more tax. Right? So in that case, they will pay all taxes. Right? Because you totally don't care about price change. Okay, by contrast, if you really care about price change, you are a smoker, Okay, but you won't tolerate anyone even the price just increase a little bit. Your demand curve is a horizontal line, perfect elastic. The current price already is the highest price level you are willing to pay. You won't pay even 1 more cent for cigarettes. So in that case, if a government will increase the price by adding tariff, you don't smoke at all. If you don't smoke at all, that means you don't need to pay any tax. So consumer pay no tax. So for any questions for number 3 and number 4, any questions? Okay, guess a less sentence, less row here, typo here. You just cross out in here. You just cross out in here, typo here. Same thing, okay, same conclusion, same thing for producers, right? Because the supply curve is about producer. So if the supply curve is perfectly inelastic, if producers they don't care about price change at all. So in that case, the producers pay all tax. You don't care about price change. You don't care. You don't sensitive about that. Okay, producers pay all. Okay, producers pay all. Okay, that's the case if they perfectly elastic about supply curve. If the supply curve now is a perfectly elastic supply curve, indicating producers they extremely care about price change. Okay, in that case, you pay no tax. Because you don't produce the secrets, okay, if you care about the price. Right after we add the tax, right, you see the producer price will decrease here, will decrease. But if you extremely care about price change and the price has been lowered, what's your response? You don't produce at all, regardless of how many units you produced before. But if the price decreases, okay, you won't produce any units. So any questions? Any questions? If no questions, we will do 1 or 2 practical writing response. No questions? Okay, for no questions, let's do. Okay, if you can find it, the paper tested in the year of 2019. Okay, 2019, I guess from B. Okay, 2019 from B question 2. Okay, let's do this question as a practical, as a practice. Okay, give you guys a 10 minutes. Okay, give you guys a 10 minutes. All these are 3 questions, okay? A, B, and C. Finish. Finish. Let's can somebody answer question A? Maybe you guys can just put your answer into the chat box. Okay, so what is A number one? Okay. VPN, you are in China right now? Okay. Oh, you did everything right. Yeah, you did everything right. Wow. Can we check answer together? So let's do let's do the first question. The after tax price paid by consumer, so it's after tax the equilibrium now is 0.10. Okay, so the corresponding price is a P3. That's right. and the corresponding quantity is Q number 2. The area representing the total tax revenue, yeah, just like what we did in our lecture notes. So here, so how you represent this area? Okay, maybe the easiest way is you just write down this 4. These 4 points, like you can do P3, P1, S, and Z. Yeah, this is the first way how you can represent this area. Maybe you can do a more mathematical way, right? Mathematical way, the area, how big is the area equals to the height times the base, kind of. Okay, so the height is P number 3 minus P number 1. So what is the base? The base is a Q number 2. So times a Q number 2. Yeah. Yeah, either one is okay. Yeah. So this is A number 2. B number 3, B question B, little bit harder because you need to make your demand curve perfectly inelastic at Q3. So what we can do is we can actually add a new demand curve and make this demand curve vertical at Q number 3, like this. Yeah. Okay, then B number 1, will the after-tax price paid by consumer be higher or lower or the same? So if your demand curve is a downward sloping, like a normally looking demand curve here, so the after-tax, as we mentioned, the after-tax market equilibrium would be S. But here, if your demand curve is a vertical curve at Q3, where is the after-tax market equilibrium? So X, right? So here. So where is the price? The price is a P number 4. So B number 1 is actually ask you about, is P number 4 higher or P number 3 higher? Okay, so for sure P number 4 is greater than P number 3. Okay, so the answer for this one is higher. So where is the tax revenue? Yeah, if I change in another color, where's the tax revenue? Yeah, tax revenue is this part, right? So you just compare two area, which one is bigger? Like the green one should be bigger, right? Yeah, how we explain the answer? The answer here given by Anthony is a kind of is a pretty standard. Yeah, it's a pretty standard. Yeah. So quantity purchase when the demand. So the tax does not reduce the quantity purchase when the demand curve is perfectly inelastic. Yeah, that's totally right. This is how you explain, like why the green area, why the tax revenue after when the demand curve is perfectly inelastic is higher. Yeah. Yeah, this is how you can explain this. And the last one. Last question. Question C actually asks you, I guess, is there any relationship between size of the tax and producer surplus? Right. This is about the question. The question asks about if the per unit sales tax is reduced. If a per unit sales tax is reduced, that means if we don't shift your supply curve by this much. If I just shift the supply curve a little bit, okay, if I just if I just shift my supply curve just a little bit, not by that much, but just by a little bit. Okay, so how much I shift my supply curve? Does how much I shift my supply curve has any relationship with the producer surplus? So maybe the first step we need to find which area is a producer surplus. Producer surplus is the area below the producer price, below the producer price. Okay, below the producer price, above the supply curve. So kind of is this part. Yeah, it's this part. Okay, so this is a PS. So can you guys see that does how big is this part? Has any relationship with how much I shift my supply curve? Yes or no? Should be no, right? The area of your producer supply has no relationship with how much you shift your supply curve to the left. Okay, the size of a tax only has a relationship with how big is the total tax revenue can be taken by government, but has no relationship with the producer surplus. How you explain that? Yeah, maybe another easiest way is because due to, you can see, due to consumer, okay, due to demand curve, let's see, due to demand curve now is perfect inelastic. Okay, so consumers will pay all taxes. That's it. So consumers will pay all tax. Will pay all tax means, okay, regardless how big is the tax level, consumer will pay all. Producers pay non-tax, pay no tax. So producers' economic well-being, producers' happiness won't be affected by the tax size. Cause as a producer, you totally don't pay any tax. But regardless of the tax level, consumers will pay all, right? So the size of tax actually has no relationship with how big is a producer surplus. So our final answer is stay the same. Any questions? No questions? Okay, no questions. Let's do maybe one more. Yeah, 2009 question 2. On your PDF document, page 44. Number 2 and number 3, what is the after-tax price that the seller not keep? So B number 2 actually asks you about where is the so-called producer price, but number 3 is a producer surplus. Producer surplus is an area. Okay, but the producer price is a specific point, is a price level. It's a point lies on the like the vertical axis. So these are two different things. If you finish, if you want to let me to check your answer, you can put once again you can input your answer into the chat box. Finish. Let's check the answer. Calculate the producer surplus before the tax. Where is the producer surplus before the tax? So the area below the $5, above the supply curve, and the leftover quantity. Yeah, basically just calculate how big is this area. Uh, how big is this area? So 5 minus 2. Okay, times 90 over 2, right? So 135. So $135. Yeah. Okay, so number B, assume the per unit tax of $2. The amount of the tax revenue. So 2 times 60, $120. Because the per unit, because the per unit tax times how many units we can trade after the tax, right? So 2 times 6 is 120. What is the after tax price? So after tax, the consumer price is 6, and we mentioned government will take away $2. So $4 here, right? $4. Okay, so where is the producer surplus after the taxes? This shaded smaller triangle, right? So 2 times the 60 divided by 2. We just calculate the area of this triangle. So $60. Is the demand price, is the demand price elastic, inelastic, or unit elastic between 5 to 6? So this one you need to do some calculations. Right? You need to do calculations using ED, the formula. We learned this formula from notes number 3. So we do ED equals a percentage change in quantity demanded over the percentage change in price. Okay, let's assuming the price increases, right? Cause if you move from 5 to 6, if you move from 5 to 6, so that means that the price has been increased by 20%. But when the price equals to 5, quantity demanded equals to 90. When price increases to 6, you see the quantity demanded decreases by 33%, 33%, right? Because 90 decreases from 90 to 60. So that means greater than 1. If ED greater than 1, so this one should be price elastic. Oh, we don't need to do the next last one. Yeah, last one is about the government behavior. Yeah, we will learn about the question D in notes number 12. Basically, the last lecture of macroeconomics. So far, any questions? Any questions from question A to C? No questions. I guess this one is a way more easier than the previous one, right? This one is easier. Just a simple questions. No questions for sure, really. Yeah, if no questions, let's move on to, let's go back to our notes. So let's finish up with the last policy. The last governmental policy where we need to do verified analysis is called the international trade importing tariff. Yeah, importing tariff. Tariff just is a special type of a tax. Tariff just is a tax, but this type of a tax kind of a special. It's added by importing country. So government on those goods and services imported from foreign countries. Okay, let's explain by everything by telling a story again. Let's build a market here. So let's do a Canadian pencil market. Okay, this is my so-called Canadian pencil market. Okay, imagine you guys live in Canada, right? You guys live in Vancouver. So as a students, yeah, for school, for every day, you need to buy what? You need to buy just a pencils. It's super easy, just a pencil. Okay, when Canada is a closed economy, closed economy means if Canada has no trade connections with foreign countries. So if we cannot do international trade, okay, so Canadians must produce pencils by themselves. Okay, so this is a Canadian supply curve. This is a Canadian pencil demand curve. So we can find a equilibrium here. We label this one by E. And so the Canadian pencil price is super expensive because the labor cost over here is so high because the price of raw materials is so high in Canada. So the price is $4 per unit. Kind of is expensive. So as a student, every time if you want to buy a pencil, you pay $4. Okay. And how many units can be traded in Canadian pencil market? So 30 units, assuming 30. Okay. But one day, if you maybe you guys, okay, you guys one year you guys go back to China for your summer vacation. Okay, when you go back to China, you'll find out, okay, Same pencil, I mean in terms of quality. Yeah, same quality, same kind of, I mean same pencil if produced by Chinese. The price only $2. The price only is $2. Okay, so we draw this horizontal line representing something called the world price. Same kind of a pencil in terms of a quality, same quality, yeah. The most important is with the same quality. If produced by China, if made in China, if produced by Chinese labor, only is $2. Because the labor cost, if the cost of raw materials kind of the lower in China. So the price is cheaper, only $2. Okay, so my next question is, if Canadians can do, if Canadians can do free international trade with Chinese, will Canada become the importing country or exporting country? So you can input your answer into the chat box. Will Canada become importing or exporting country? If the domestic price, Canadian price is $4. Okay, but the price of the same kind of a pencil made in China only is $2. No response. Importing country, that's right. So Canada for sure will become an importing country. So why? Super easy, right? So cause the Canadian consumer will buy cheaper pencil with the same quality from China. But I guess no Chinese are willing to pay higher price to buy pencil made in Canada with the same quality. Because as a producers, we want to save money, right? We want to save money. So only Canadians will buy pencil made in China. No Chinese will buy pencil made in Canada. Okay. So the next step, let's do the free international trade. No governmental intervention, no tariff. Okay, Canadians can freely, Canadian importers. Okay, maybe an importing business company. Yeah, just as a trader can buy a lot of pencil made in China and ship them back to Canada for domestic consumers. Okay, so in Canadian market, the supply of Chinese made pencil increases. So you can understand, right? The domestic price gradually will decrease with more and more supply of pencil made in China. So domestically, so domestic price will gradually decreases, right? So finally decrease to $2. Okay, so with a lowered, with a reduced domestic price level. So based on law of demand, so Canadian students will buy more pencil. So let's see quantity demanded increases from 30 to 50. But how domestic producer will respond to this change? You can understand the domestic manufacturers, they will be suffered from a current free international trade policy because the Canadian manufacturers, they cannot compete with the Chinese producer. Okay, because the production cost over here in Canada is so high, it's higher, relatively speaking, it's higher than the production cost in China. Okay, so Canadian producers, they have no conditions to compete with China, right? So some of the Canadian producers may will withdraw from the market. So quantity supplied will decrease. Okay, so quantity supplied will decrease. Because based on law of demand, law of supply, if a price has been reduced, so quantity supplied will decrease. No, 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 no. Canadians still can produce, let's say, 10 units. Yeah, Canadians still can produce 10 units. Okay, Canadian producers will produce a lesser quantity, yeah, reduced to 10. Okay, so that is the situation. Okay, that's the situation. Currently, the domestic production level is at 10, but the domestic student consumers will buy 50 units of a pencil. So the difference between 10 and 50 must be called as a quantity of imported. Now equals to 40. And finally, let's add some labels to do the welfare analysis. Okay, then once you add these labels, you can fill all these blanks. Should be very easy. Okay, first group of questions is about the situation before we do international trade. Yeah, when you is a closed economy, yeah, how you get the fuel A to E. Just a try, let's try. So equilibrium price, where is the equilibrium price? When you is a closed economy, just a closed economy, $4, and the quantity can be consumed 30, right? Initially, Canadian students, yeah, purchase like 30 units of a pencil like every day. Consumer price, where's the consumer price? Only A, producer price only B and E. So total surplus, you just add up CS and PS together, so A, B, E. Do we have a deadweight loss? When there is no governmental intervention, do we have any deadweight loss? When there is no governmental intervention, okay, no governmental, what happened? When there is no governmental intervention, okay, no deadweight loss, right? No deadweight loss. Okay, let's after the international trade. After the international trade, we mentioned the domestic price has been lowered from $4 to $2. Yeah, after we can do international trade, how many units we consume? 50. So you guys do okay, your turn, okay. You guys do B and C. So now where is the consumer surplus? Okay, these two are important. Where is the consumer surplus now? Can somebody tell me where is the consumer surplus after we can do free international trade? How I can feel this one? How I can feel this one? Can you repeat the questions? Just A, B, just a question number 2 here, B. Where is the consumer surplus after we do international trade? C and D, only C and D. Okay, so how we define consumer surplus again? Consumer surplus is an area below the demand curve, above the market price line. Market price line now is $2, no longer is $4. On the left-hand side of a quantity, how many units the consumers buy? 50. So where is the consumer surplus? All the areas below the demand curve, above the price line, and on the left-hand side of a quantity. So which labels? So A, B, C, and D, right? How I can get A, B, C, and D every time you just follow this principle, consumer surplus. Let's do this again. The area below the demand curve, above the market supply curve, and on the left-hand side of a quantity. Once again, consumer surplus is an area below demand curve, above the market supply curve. On the left-hand side quantity is an area bounded these three lines. So A, B, C, D, right? Then where is the producer surplus? Okay, producer surplus is an area above the supply curve, below the market price line. On the left-hand side quantity, but quantity now is a $10, 10 units. Because a domestic producer not only can produce 10 units. So price line, the supply curve price line, the quantity, so only E. Right, so this part, so next question is only E. Quantity of domestically production 10. Quantity of domestic produce is 50. So how many units have we imported from China? So 50 minus 10, so 14. Do we have a deadweight loss? No, because currently there is no government intervention, no tariff policy, right? No tariff policy, so no deadweight loss. So what do I mean by net gain from trade? The net gain from trade is when you is a closed economy, we mentioned the total surplus as ABE, right? Now there is a total surplus, all the labels basically A, B, C, D, E. You see, so the net gain, so the increase. So the increase in the total happiness level, social welfare level is C and D. I mean, total surplus increased by C and D. Is so far any questions? And if we do one more thing, we can compare, right? We can compare, we can get a conclusion is like a consumers, okay, they will be very happy with free international trade policies, right? Under no tariff policy, your domestic consumer, they will be very happy because you can buy cheaper goods and services made in China, made in foreign countries, but with the same good quality. Okay, but a domestic producer, they will be angry with this policy, will be suffer from this policy. Okay, because you as a producer in Canada, in USA, this is what happening in USA, right? Because those are traditional manufacturer companies, they build factories in China. Okay, like a Tesla, right? Even Tesla, they build their new car currently in Shanghai, right? Like Apple, right? They assemble new iPhones in India, in China. All these American companies, they don't produce their products physically in USA. Why? Because the labor costs in South Asia countries, right? In China, in India, in South Asia countries, it's lower. So you can save money. Okay, so this can lead to a lot of social problems, right? Because due to now what happening right now in US is yeah, if you go to New York City, yeah, you can find a job in finance industry, right? If you in the future, if you get to work as an IT guy, you can go to Silicon Valley. Yeah, you can work as an IT guy. But there you really cannot find a job in traditional manufacturing industry in USA. Because now all the American companies like Nike, like Apple, like Tesla, all these American companies, they physically produce their products in China, in India. Okay, so the unemployment rate in traditional manufacturing industry in USA is pretty high. Okay, so how to solve this problem? Okay, under Trump administration, do you guys remember the slogan of Trump? Trump's slogan is what? He said, "Make American great again," right? Make America great again. Okay, so what do I mean by oh, Lord. Okay, so what do I mean by make America great again? We want to protect, yeah, based on Trump's idea, he wants to protect the traditional manufacturing industry. Okay, so what he did is add something called a tariff on those goods and services made in China. Okay, basically, Trump wants to make the goods and the services made in China more expensive. Okay, this is our graph we did in last box, all right? So let's all label this $4, $2, supply curve, demand curve. Okay, what prices are here? What prices are here? So 10, 30, 50. Okay. Under Trump's administration, US government, they added on like a higher, like an importing tariff, per unit importing tariff on goods and services. Let's see, in my case, it's a pencil made in China. So we label this line by world price plus tariff per unit tariff. Okay, assuming there's a per unit tariff equals to $1 per unit. Okay, just $1 per unit. So so that means that the new price is $3, right? Okay, this is how we represent per unit tariff. If a per unit tariff added on the goods and services made in China. So the domestic price increased to $3. So the quantity demanded here decreases and the quantity supplied here increases. Okay, so the domestic consumer will be suffered from this. As a domestic consumer, you no longer can only use $2 for purchasing for pencils made in China, but you need to pay 3. Okay, but the good effect, the positive effect is domestic consumer now they can produce more. Okay, so let's say increase from 2 to 20, 10 to 20, sorry. Okay, and finally we add, once again, we add labels A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Okay, with these labels, let's fill the last group of a question. Okay, so now after price, after equilibrium price and quantity, now is $3.40. Now where is the consumer surplus? The consumer surplus now is A, B, C, and D. Okay, producer surplus is the area above the supply curve, above the supply curve at the left-hand side of a 20, so E and G. E and G. Total quantity consumed is 40. Domestically production is 20. So how many units now we import from China? So 40 minus 20 equals to 20. Where is the total tariff revenue? Total tariff revenue is, it should be between the 20 and 40, right? Because as a US government, you are collecting importing tariff. Before 20, like all the quantities before 20 is produced by domestic producers. So you cannot collect any money, charge any tax before 20. So before 20 and 40, yeah. So total tax revenue is GNH. Total tax revenue is GNH. So now A, B, C, D has taken by consumer, E and G has taken by producer, G and H has taken by government. So you see if F and I receive but nobody, so this is a card that we lost. So F and I. So the net gain from trade compared with a closed economy, the net gain from trade increased by C, D, G, H. We cannot include F and I, right? Because F and I, due to the per unit tariff, has gone. It just disappeared there that we lost. Nobody can receive F and I. So the net surplus compared with the closed economy, once again, compared with the closed economy, only increased by CDGH. Any questions? No questions? Yeah, no questions. That this is all about note number 4. Uh, You just assign one or two homework. Yeah, we can do. Which one we can? Which question we can do? Okay, first question. First homework is this one. So this one is a page 68. It's a page 68 Q3. We do one more related to, and this one is a page 62. Okay, page 62 Q3. Okay, this two. Okay, this two is your homework. No questions. If no questions, that's it. We'll see you next week. If you have questions, you can stay here. You can discuss more about your questions.